Welcome to the Next Level Social Podcast. I'm your host, Ayla Sorochuk, and my purpose is to help female entrepreneurs create businesses and brands through social media and online marketing so they can start to attract their ideal client and start generating the leads, the sales, and the income that they deserve. If you're ready to take your business to the next level and start showing up online like the unstoppable entrepreneur that you are, then this is the perfect place for you. Let's get social. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of the Next Level Social Podcast. I am your host, Ayla, and I'm so excited, actually more pumped than ever, to have you here today because this is my first in-person video podcast guest recording that's going to be full length on YouTube and Spotify. And I have one of my favorite humans of all time here with us, and I can't wait to share her with you. And I've already had Taylor on the show before. Or Taylor is who I have, Taylor MacDonald, by the way. I've had Taylor on the show before, so I know a lot of you know her and met her, and she's just the best ever and one of my good friends at this point. Family, client, turned friend, turned family, and we're so blessed to have each other, and I'm so excited to dive into the episode with you today. And okay, I'm going to introduce Taylor here. So
get ready, grab a seat.
We just read this bio previously to this, and she's like, I think it's a little long. I'm like, it's not long enough. Everyone needs to know the friggin' juiciness and goodness all about you because she has, well, you're going to find out in a second here. So I have Taylor MacDonald here with us, and Taylor is a content creator, a fashion stylist, a health and wellness lover, a mama, a wife, and she's going to be, I'm telling you right now, your new BFF. Taylor is a Canadian-based fashion stylist and image consultant with over 20 freaking years of experience.
I just have to pause here. I had to say to Ayla, wait, I don't think that's right. I'm not that old. And unfortunately, I am.
And Maddie, her right hand, was like, Taylor, it's everywhere.
And I'm like, oh, I guess I am that old. I like to think I'm forever 21.
Okay, so 20 years of experience just to give credibility to the knowledge that she's going to pour into you today. So from corporate to modeling, her expertise spans across a variety of industries. As an image consultant and stylist over the last decade, Taylor has helped so many women feel confident in their daily lives through helping them discover their personal brand and encouraging women to use fashion as a way of expression to show up as the best version of themselves. Along the way, Taylor discovered her passion for building brands and witnessing the confidence level of entrepreneurs while as an image consultant and brand builder. Now, as a multiple six-figure online entrepreneur, Taylor has fallen in love and have become obsessed with helping women find their confidence through their own unique personal style. Taylor provides a safe space for all busy women and moms to come together and seek silent advice through her membership, Shout Out to the Insider, and styling services. As a mom of a blended family with, get ready, wait for it, 5 freaking children, Taylor is able to connect with other moms who may share similar struggles with the beautiful chaos life throws at them. She loves communicating and utilizing social media because it gives her and everyone the opportunity to inspire and impact while being able to be 100% authentic. Through her social, Taylor enjoys bringing her viewers, followers, and friends closer into the process of her totally insane and beautiful life.
Beautiful chaos.
Beautiful chaos. Beautiful life. Chaos. Oh my gosh. I know that was a lot. And it's actually so interesting reading someone's bio to them when you're sitting next to them. It's a different element, but
oh my gosh,
this just gives you a glimpse into Taylor. And the best part and a main reason why we're here today, I'm going to just announce this right off the get-go before we dive into just having Taylor pour into you, is we're especially excited today because Taylor and I have actually teamed up and packaged up our genius zones and created a workshop / course called Identity, and it's officially live. As when this podcast goes live, we have launched exclusively to the waitlist, and we can't wait to. Honestly, this was a passion project. Truly, I came to Taylor a couple of months ago, probably like 6 months ago, and I was like, we should do something together. Like we've worked together. Your brand has exploded. You have so much to talk about. I feel like our audiences would gain so much from each other. Let's just have fun with it. And that's something I say all the time is like the best things always develop when it's coming from a place of passion, which we'll be diving into today. But this is how Identity was kind of born. And Identity is our roadmap, our step-by-step process of really creating a powerful personal brand that not only stands out, but of course that sells. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it here because you're not too late to get in on it. You can join the waitlist still as of right now, and you want to get on that waitlist because we have a very special and exclusive offer that we're not sharing anywhere else. The price is going to be the lowest it's going to be, just to the waitlist only. And so this is what it is. I'm going to read this and then we'll dive into the episode. Identity, the personal branding workshop. In this workshop, you are going to discover how to create a personal, powerful brand, how to create your unique personal brand story, how to create strong social media content that stands out and that reflects your brand, how to develop your brand style and aesthetic, and of course, the branding secrets to monetizing online. We know that this is something that so many of you who have asked us about, how to actually create money with our personal brand, and so much more. So if you're listening to this or watching on YouTube or Spotify, you definitely want to make sure you click the link in the show notes, get on the wait list. Identity is live. We can't wait to share it with you. We officially start November 13th, the week of November 13th. It's going to be 5 days, 5 video modules. Each day a new portal will open. On the last day, you're going to have a live call with Taylor and I. You get a private Facebook group. It's going to be all-encompassing. We're so excited, and we just can't wait. Right?
Yeah, it is. Honestly, Ayla, just sitting here and having you go through all of that.
I know.
It's honestly a full circle moment for me because, like, what was it? Almost 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I came to you as my coach to show up on the social space because I was solely in person for all these years of my business. I didn't do anything on social media. I was scared shitless of social media. And you really helped teach me and bring that out in me. So it is a full circle moment that now we're sitting here and really marrying the two because I know your abilities of what you coached me. I truly credit where I am now to you and bringing that out into me on social media, but being able to like play into the personal branding that I've been doing for years. I just didn't know how to do it on social.
Yeah.
So it's a pinch me moment that it's like now here we are collaborating 2 years later and being able to impact other women who I'm sure were right where I was when I messaged you 2 years ago, being like, today's the day I want to start to show up on social media. Like, where do I begin?
I know. I never even thought of it that way until right now. That's because you've evolved so much. I don't even look at you like that anymore. I look at you're like on my level or like actually beyond. And this is also just a testament to anyone that's listening that's thinking about mentorship. Like, mentorship is one thing, but being coachable and actually executing is something totally different. And they need to go hand in hand. And Taylor, y'all, like, go look at her platforms. I'll leave her Instagram handle and her website below. She not only took like what I told her to do, she took it and she freaking ran with it. She hired out a team. She invested in her business. She executed so powerfully, so beautifully, and now is just blowing up. Her socials in itself in the last like couple of weeks have like almost doubled, and she's created a membership that's exploding and really, really just, you know, you've just taken it to a whole other level, which is why I wanted to do this with you because...
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm so excited because I still feel like I'm still so close to where I was 2 years. It still really resonates with me. So I know a lot of women who are probably listening to this or joining our course, like I know where they were. Like that's still so fresh in my memory. Right. But then I also really know where they can go because I've seen where the explosion has come on the online space thanks to you and your coaching skills. So like bringing these two together and really being in a place of recognizing where these women are most likely at too. Yeah. And it's like, you know, this is like the outline, if you will. If you follow this and like you said, if you're coachable, you really can
change your life.
Yeah,
you can.
You know?
Like, and we are testament and proof of it. Does it mean it happens overnight? Absolutely not.
Gosh,
Taylor came to me 2 years ago. She's been showing up consistently every single day for
not stopped.
years. And we're going to talk about that. We'll dive into that. We'll be diving into so much more of this in identity. So today we kind of wanted to just bringing it back to what this episode's going to be about.
So I know.
Just talking about ourselves over here. It's fine.
Maddie, we need you over here circulating us in.
We said before this, like, let's try to keep it to 30 minutes.
Maddie works with me. She's literally my right brain, and she's always behind the camera being like, Taylor,
let's go.
Wrap. You need
Maddie.
to stop going off on your tangents.
Shout out to Maddie. We'll leave
Shout
Maddie.
out to
We'll
Maddie.
leave Maddie's link in the show notes
Yes.
as well. Maddie's one of my best friends. She's a PR queen and a
Literally,
branding
you need her on
goddess.
your team too.
That's a whole other story for a whole other day.
That's another course.
Yeah, another course. But today we wanted to kind of, what I like to call is like give you guys some popcorn of what identity is going to be about and really talk about how you can elevate your personal brand with some key takeaways. You're going to listen to this and hopefully have some actionable steps that you can take away with. And I'm going to change up the style a little bit today as well. I'm not just going to be interviewing Taylor. Taylor's actually going to be interviewing me. So for the first half of the show, I'm going to ask Taylor some questions that I think a lot of you want to know. And then she's going to take the floor and ask me questions.
It's about time someone asks Ayla some questions on her podcast, right? Do we agree, ladies?
Oh
you
my
know
God.
it, like it.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up my notes here. Okay, so let's just dive into
Let's
it,
do
shall
it.
we? Okay,
Hot seat.
Hot seat. I guess I was gonna say introduce yourself a little bit. We did that, but if there's anything that I missed, that like your mom, tell us a little bit about yourself and the evolution of you taking your business online over the last couple of years. I want everyone to know like all of the years of experience that you have, and then now taking it online and what that looks like, and a little bit more about you that we didn't cover.
Well, as you said, I've been in the industry for 20 years in the fashion industry, which is just like madness because, like I said, I think I'm forever 21.
Yeah.
Even though I just had to go cover up my grays pretty hardcore the other day.
You look 21, so don't worry about it.
But so I went into the industry when I was 17 years old. I went abroad. I started working in the fashion industry. Absolutely loved it. And then I discovered styling, which was something, it was just like, that was what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel completely impacted personally and fulfilled with styling, with magazines and on set and so forth. So I discovered personal styling and image consulting. And that's where I work with individual women like yourself and, just basically like wherever you are in your life and really helping execute you showing up as the way you want to be, not as to what the latest magazines and blogs are telling us to be. And that is a little bit of a contradiction if you're on my Instagram, because on my social media, I do a lot of like, get rid of this and swap this, but that's just for, those who are interested in quote unquote trends. But when it comes to working with clients, it's really about evolving and allowing you to become the woman that you envision. Ultimately through how you dress, because as shallow as it can sound, we do get dressed every single day. And it really does impact your confidence and how you feel. So I really dove into personal styling, and that is my niche, that is my world. And that's what I just love. Like every single woman is so different, yet we're all trying to navigate as women in this world. And now especially as a mom, as Ayla said, I've got 5 kids. It's freaking madness.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, I want to just be in my pajamas every day. But as also a business owner, I know the difference that I feel when I'm in my sweatpants versus when I'm dressing up for quote unquote work that day, even though I work out of my house. So that's where like then the personal branding really, really took off. And I've had the opportunity to work with several corporate companies to help women in the corporate place find that identity. And that's really where I was until I found you. I didn't market anything. It was all word of mouth. I had no systems. Like I still have like piles of my client intake forms to this day. I refuse to get rid of. I should probably turn it digital, but like I feel like I need a course for that.
Yeah.
And so everything was like paper to pen and person to person. And then, my health it took a turn, and I had to figure out a way of how can I scale my business and work online while still doing what I love and impact women. And that's how the social space really turned.
Yeah.
I was scared shitless. I was scared what people would think of me. I had major imposter syndrome, still have it. Just like it's not me. I'm not an influencer. It was just like cringe to me.
Yeah.
You know, I have so many friends who are influencers. I was like, leave that to them. This is not me. I'm just a stylist that will drive to your house and help you.
That's so funny that you say that. You're the ultimate influencer to me.
Oh
now.
gosh, no. I'm far from
Yes,
it. But
no.
that's where you came into my life because, you know, I found myself majority in bed than out of bed with my MS that I was like, okay, how am I going to navigate and pivot my business?
Yeah.
And show up online. And that's where you came into play. And now it's amazing because the fact that something I already thought was so big, my styling business, you know, I was very blessed, knock on wood, to be as busy as I was and successful, that now taking it online has opened up doors to be able to, I have clients in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, in California. My membership has women all over the world.
So cool.
So the fact that I get to help impact women on such a larger scale, not talking like monetization, but the aspect that I'm in so many different women's lives that I wouldn't have reached being in Calgary in my car, driving with my rolling rack and all the clothes in the trunk to people's houses. And that's the power of personal branding and bringing it to online and monetizing. Like there's so much more from just the monetization, you know.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So that's like, I tried to make that short. You guys, Maddie, where are you? You need to be reeling us in. So there you go. That's the long version.
I mean, no, that's perfect. And you actually kind of answered my next question anyways, which is like when you decided to go all in on your personal brand. And so that was it. It was really like, okay. And I know this is so relatable. So at the end of the day, how we have been trained generationally is we make money by exchanging time for dollars.
Exactly.
And that's all good. That's how our parents were taught. That's how it's been for decades and decades.
Totally.
But this generation, the new generation, is like, hey, wait, actually, yeah, we're all about hard work, but we can learn how to work smarter, not harder.
That's the key.
And that is the power of creating a personal brand, bringing it online, and like you said, taking your expertise. Like you are a fashion queen, a styling queen, a branding queen, but you were just doing it and exchanging time for dollars in person. And unfortunately, you had, a health situation that kind of forced this. But for anyone listening, like don't wait for something like that to happen.
And that's like, I preach that to everyone, you know, as a mom with 5 kids, like my world is my kids. Like I work so freaking hard. It's not for me. It's because I want to be able to say yes to the kids for all that they need. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I was a single mom with just my daughter Sybil. And I remember the day I left my corporate with Hudson's Bay, I was the head stylist there. The day I left that, I remember sitting in the parking lot bawling because I was like, how am I going to afford daycare next month? Like you're going off to be self-employed, Taylor. And this was when it was time for money. Yeah. You know, so I literally sat in the car that I was like, one, how am I going to pay for my lease, for my car, let alone daycare? But I knew I had to go. I just had this feeling. Sybil was, I don't even know how old. She was a baby. That I was like, I got to do this. So I say this like what you said for women who are at this stage of when do I take the leap? You know, when I took that leap, social media wasn't really a thing yet. Yeah. So I was really like, I was so tired. I was, you know, deflated in every aspect because I still wanted to be the best mom to my baby. But I was like slave driving to make sure I had money to pay for everything the next month with my expenses. Like I had to say yes to every client. And, you know, Sybil would be in the baby Bjorn coming with me behind the scenes. Like we went I'm grateful for it because
so much time
we're so close together for those reasons.
Taylor is mom goals.
But I am sure there's a lot of moms on here who, you know, want to spend more time with their kids and want to have these boundaries and these balances, these trigger keywords we keep putting out there, but it's like, how do I do this? Yeah. Everyone keeps saying this, but how? And I think that's why this opportunity is so cool. Yeah. Because it can be done, you know, for your kids or for this life you really want to live and have this balance that we are constantly chasing. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And also, Taylor just told us what her why is. And that is such an important piece to creating a brand and building a personal brand, is really defining and determining and establishing what is my why. Every personal brand, every brand needs one. And whether it's your mission statement, your vision statement, and again, we're going to talk about all of this in identity, but and help you figure out what is my why? What are the things that make me different? But Taylor just organically and authentically just described her why. And so figuring out what your why is and then using that as fuel to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you want to create a personal brand because it's literally called How to Elevate Your Personal Brand.
And you're going to feel the imposter syndrome like I spoke about. There's going to be financial scarcity that you're going to be scared about. Like all these fears will bring up in the course as well because they're real and you have to own them, but you can overcome them. And I think that's something really important that we do tap into in our course because we've all been where you have. I mean, Ayla has too, and we'll get into Ayla's side as well. But just know, like, when you're listening to this, if you're really being called that this is the time, it is the time. Act now because
you have one life.
You have one life, and the new year is almost coming. It's 2 more months, so like let's
Q4
close 20.
And you know what?
23.
Q4 is my favorite time of the year. I always
like,
go balls to the wall. Q4.
Crab done.
I look at my numbers and I'm like, what can we do? Like, what magic can we make in these last? And
like, I should start going to the gym. I've got 2 months left.
Oh my god.
But right.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk social a bit and branding. So for me and anyone that's listening, when you go find Taylor, because please go find her, you are one of the most authentic people, not just online, but also in real life. For real. I'm not just saying that to toot your horn. Like, anyone that knows you knows, like, you are so kind, so genuine, so real. You have, like, this picturesque perfectionism about you, but you also have, like, you show the raw and the real and the messy, and you show when you're, like, having a sick day in bed and, like, your hair's in a rat's nest and you have, like, food in your teeth. And, like, I think that
my extensions are, like, fully sticking out.
And I feel like that is one of your main differentiator, at least not just as like a friend and somebody that's worked with you, but also as like a viewer of your social and a viewer of your brand. And I think that it's your differentiator. I think it's what makes you different. So talk to me about, is that strategic? Is that just you being authentic? And if that's the case, like, how important is that authenticity in what you do with your personal brand online and on social media specifically?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I struggled with showing up, especially on my stories, a little bit more. I think going back to not necessarily that imposter syndrome, but I didn't want people to think that I was like a cry for help or like, oh, poor Taylor, especially when I talk about like health stuff and like.
So not to cut you off, but just for those of you that don't know Taylor was diagnosed with MS.
Yeah, I have MS. So like there's definitely some really tough days, and I was having a hard time showing that vulnerability. And then a lot of people like yourself were like, no, we really like that because we can connect that you are going through that, or you are a hot mess mom with spinach in your teeth and you haven't brushed your hair and you're dropping your kids off with no bra on. Like, this is my life. And so I did have to, like we talked about earlier, I really did have to push myself. And that's something I think we'll talk about more in our course too.
Yeah.
I did have to push myself, but then I got to a point where like, I had to work on my mindset, and like I'm like, I really don't care. If you don't like what you're seeing, unfollow me. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I always preach post and forget.
Yeah.
But I love it because through that, the community I've created, I don't look at followers on my Instagram. I look at the community. Like, I really feel like I could have a party with every single one of my followers. I don't drink, but I would be like dancing on the table with my water.
Yeah.
With everybody who follows me, because through that authenticity and just being real, that I have attracted
your people.
My people.
Yeah.
And that is the power, once again, of personal branding and identity, and really being who you are as a brand. Ultimately, you want to attract the right people because that's your customer, that's your community, that's everything. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for showing up with spinach in my teeth, saggy boobs, and because everyone else on my story gets it. So like, I don't have to worry. Does that make sense?
Oh, like, that makes perfect sense. At the end of the day, and that is the game changer when creating a personal brand. And it's being you. And at the end, we hear all the time, if you want to monetize your personal brand, people need to know, like, and trust you.
Yes.
And they're only going to know, like, and trust you if they feel like they know you.
Totally.
If they like your vibe.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
they don't. You're not going to be everyone's piece of cake.
No, absolutely. And you got to be okay with that. And that's the other thing, you know, like I still have clients whose style is so different than mine.
Yeah.
Very, very feminine, like whatever it might be. We can still work together.
Yeah.
But like, say you don't vibe with the style, but you vibe with the coaching capacity or like what's coming out, the materials, you can still create your personal brand. You don't have to be the hot mess mom.
No.
You can be like Ayla. She's like always put together, I swear. But like, you know, but you can, this is where we dive into how do you want to be perceived?
Yeah.
How do you want your brand? My demographic is moms.
Yeah.
So being a hot mess mom totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
My demographic is female entrepreneurs, aspiring coaches.
Exactly.
Yeah, so and we dive into this in identity, how to figure out who your ideal client is, what they look like, what they sound like, knowing everything about them. I have an entire questionnaire for you to fill out to really understand this person, because it's such an important element when putting all of this together. So being you, y'all, that is the key of the story, and being authentic.
And you'll figure that out when you go through those questions of who is your personal brand.
Yeah.
This is part of discovering it, right?
Yeah. Okay, last question. It's a 2-in-1. So, okay, let's talk aesthetics, because you are the aesthetic queen, and personal style. Also, styling is your thing. That's what you do. That's what you're known for. So how have you incorporated both of these elements into your personal brand? And then that's the first question. And the second question, any tips for anyone else really wanting to discover what their personal style is and what their brand aesthetic from a visual standpoint is?
Yeah, I think naturally my brand aesthetic came because I'm a stylist.
Yeah.
So I would really hope if you're working with a stylist, she's really into the aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know, like that OCD mindset, really. Like, I'm not going to put a client in a pair of pants that are necessarily an inch too short, because I will see that. The average eye won't see that.
Right.
Which brings me to the point that you do have to let your perfection go a little bit, because as, you know, the owner of your business, you see everything eagle-eyed. And sometimes that can actually hold you back, because you're like, you know, this isn't good enough. It needs to be nicer. We can't launch until this is done. So that is something I also had to personally do some development on myself, because I want everything to be perfect. This is a problem in my life. These are my own problems.
Yeah.
My husband can attest to this. But then really, I personally think it's discovering your personal style inside of you. How do you want to show up? How do you want to be viewed? And how do you want to impact people you meet? So that comes internally. So you start with that, and then it comes externally, and that's when it comes to fashion and clothes and hair and makeup. Like, how do you want to feel? And then how do you want to be seen? Because, you know, I've been saying this for the last like 15 years. I've been doing trend talks downtown. Is within the first 30 seconds someone meets you, they've made this judgment or this decision of who you are. Yeah. You know,
it's crazy.
It's really
it's
crazy.
True.
And this is something I talk about with my business clients, like who, you know, are brilliant professionals and their image is really important to them. When you're traveling, at the airport is a prime example of when you could meet somebody that you least expect who could really network well for you in your business. And if you're in like your super comfies, amen to them, and like, you know, kind of chugging along in the airport, that person who potentially could have wanted to invest millions into your business isn't seeing you as the CEO that you are.
Right.
That's how fast judgment is made. And that's why I talk about the importance of owning personal style when it comes to getting dressed, because your business can be perceived that fast.
Yeah.
So you start with that, and then this is like a threefold question, because from there it should then correlate with your brand messaging, your brand colors, your aesthetic, and everything.
Which, by the way, Taylor will be diving deep into this in identity, and this is a huge part of what she brings to the table, and it's so valuable. And I love that. And again, and I think there's like the common theme here. It just comes always also back to who are you and who are you speaking to? And how do you want to be seen, and what makes you you in your style, in your fonts, in your colors, in your images, in your visuals, in your videos, in your clothes, in your hair, and your makeup. It all is encompassing, but laying down that initial work and really figuring that those grounding steps out first is key.
And I think a lot of people, you know, you start with your business plan, your proposal, you draft everything out, you figure out your niche and like all these things, your avatar.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do forget that part. But ultimately, it comes from you to where your brand is starting. So like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to be seen? Mm-hmm. Figure that out. And then your niche and your avatar and your branding and your brand, that's all going to align a lot better. And that's why I'm so excited to do this course with you, because it's really marrying all those things together, which I see a lot of people, you know, they come to me after they've started their business, or, you know, after they've had babies, and they're like, I don't know who I want to be or how I want to show up. So I think you're really lucky if you're starting off right now or you want to refresh, because all of this will really organically line together.
Totally.
Which is cool.
I love all of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are my questions. We're going to switch
Wow.
gears.
Okay, let's do this. We're going to switch gears, ladies. So if you're driving, let's get into like fourth gear here and speed up on the highway, because we all want to hear about Ayla's story.
Oh
I listen to every single episode, Ayla, and I'm always doing it while I'm driving. So that's why I can relate to anyone driving right now.
I love you.
But I'm excited to ask you some questions, because I know you've got a great following, and I think it's really important for women to like, let's go back to your story.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your personal story and your personal brand. And when you made the decision to, you know, leave what you were doing to come on and be an online coach and help women monetize their business on social media.
Yeah. Okay.
Walk us through.
Yeah. I'll try to keep it to like 60 seconds spark note
No,
version.
we're in Taylor time.
I love it. Okay. So for lots of my listeners know my story, but for those that are brand new, maybe coming from your world or just, you know, refresh. So I come from business and marketing background. I went to school for business and marketing and majored in PR and event planning and social media and all the things. That's like my education and schooling. And after I finished school, I moved to Vancouver and kind of just went all in the social media marketing branding world. And I ended up landing some really cool gigs from anything and everything, from e-commerce to digital marketing agencies to working with celebrities to working with big brands inside all of their businesses. So I was the social media manager, the PR manager, the brand manager, the ambassador program coordinator, the Facebook ads manager, the funnel expert. I was like, they called me the woman of all hats, and I just figured everything out. Just if anyone's listening to this, like, I did not know any of the shit that I was doing. I just figured everything out. And I ended up, you know, growing and scaling some businesses and some brands specifically to multiple 6 and 7 figures really quickly. And it was amazing experience. It was a hell of a lot of work. And I ended up getting to a point 2.5 years ago where I essentially hit massive burnout. I think I had like 10 different clients. The money was okay. I maybe was making 8 to 10 grand a month, which at the time felt incredible. Yeah. But I was working like 14, 15 hours a day.
Time for money, again, like you were saying.
Yeah. And I was burnt out, and I ended up in the hospital twice. Once I was diagnosed with a condition called vulvodynia, which was chronic vagina pain. I've talked about it on the podcast before, due to an overprescription of antibiotic from a mild bladder infection. And then I ended up in the hospital one more time. Thought I was having a heart attack, panic attack, thought I was having a heart attack, really was just having a panic attack from stress and being overworked. And these 2 moments, along with being evicted from our place in Vancouver, were like 3 strikes, you're out. I was like done with the life I had created, which I thought was everything in Vancouver, living this life, working for all these big brands, blah, blah, blah.
So busy.
I'm so busy, and thought it was everything. But then these hospital moments, the health, right? Like you, very similar, actually. if you don't have your health, you have nothing. Health is wealth. And so we put all of our stuff into storage and we packed up and we came home, and I lived with my parents in their basement for a year, and that's when I launched my business. The first year when we were working together, I was living in my parents' basement, having no idea what I was doing, but it was my moment. It was like, this isn't working, this isn't sustainable, this isn't scalable, I'm burnt the F out, I'm miserable, I am so exhausted, and my health is suffering. This is the time. And so I hired my first mentor. It was the scariest thing ever, the biggest investment I ever made in anything. It was like $25,000 US for a 3-month retainer. And it was scary, but it was worth everything because it gave me that accountability. It had somebody having that confidence in me that I just needed that extra push. Everyone needs an accountability partner or an accountability 100%. In every facet of their life, whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whether it's relationships, whatever. It's all good, and I needed it. And I honestly just never looked back. I decided to create my personal brand and go all in on my brand. I launched my podcast, my first mastermind. I did my first photo shoot, my first video shoot. I built my website myself in 2 days. And I decided that I was going to put myself and my content and my brand at the forefront of everything else and treat it like I had done all these other brands. And the good thing is I knew what to do. Yeah. I knew how to execute. I knew how to do the socials, and I knew how to do the photo shoots and the branding and all the things because I had done it time and time again for all these other incredible women. So it gave me the credibility not only to do it to myself, but to be able to teach people. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that's, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And I just went all in. I went all in. I did nothing else but go in on my brand, and the rest is history. Since then, mentored over 1,000 women at this point in one way, shape, or form, either privately through my mastermind or through my online courses. And my mission, my why, is just to help as many other female entrepreneurs or aspiring female entrepreneurs create the life that they want and stop being shackled to what they think they have to do, because there's other ways, and I know how to help you do it. And I want to just my goal is to work with 100,000 women, and that's it. And that's my story.
But what I'm hearing as you're saying that, and I hope that other women who are listening to this, we were both at hit a roadblock in our lives, in our personal lives, like you said, of like being shackled, time for trade. Yeah. That it was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. So like, I hope so many women will jump on this before they get to that part.
That's that's the whole point.
That's a whole other thing you got to work through too. Yeah. Like,
it's scary.
It's really scary. So if you have the support and the opportunity, or you're still working, you can still have a side gig while you're building up. Totally. And that is what I think is so cool, because I'm sure this resonates with so many women who are just at this point in their life where they're like, oh, I just want to do this, but I don't know how.
Yeah, or I can't afford it, or I don't have time. And like, trust me, these are things that Taylor and I have thought and done too. And so it's obviously like, it has to make sense. You don't want to be like, screwing yourself over. But like, also, you're never going to feel 100% ready. You're never going to feel
going to be a good time. And I know everyone says this, but this is the truth. It's like deciding to have a child. There is no right time.
Yeah, and your business is like another baby, right?
Is.
You spend so much time with it. You're creating something from scratch. It's your heart and your soul. And so it's scary, but like I always say, if you're not nervous, you're not ready, and you got to do it anyways. And if something is calling inside of you where you're like, I know I'm made for more, like I want to be a brand, I want to do photo shoots, I want to show up online and create stories, and I have impact to make, like, just do it. So that's my story.
I love, like, obviously, I got to be your student, so I love the coaching methods that you have. I think it's really real, it's digestible, and
thank you.
It's applicable. Yeah. I think that's where I was intimidated, like going in on it. It's an investment. It's like, I'm putting myself out there. Am I going to be able to do this? Like, you're teaching things that, like, I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I didn't even know how to freaking post a story. Still don't. No.
I know. I remember you're like, how do you put a link in the story?
Yeah. Like, how do you put a link, And this was really foreign to me.
I know.
Like, I wasn't on social media.
I know.
But the way your coaching methods are just so digestible. And I think that's really important because it is intimidating as it is. So that's really cool of you as a coach.
Thank you.
That, it's digestible. Okay, so tell me how important social media is for you when it comes to personal branding, because you are your brand and you are on social media. So tell us your importance there.
Yes. Okay. Well, for my personal brand, for any personal brand, social media, and I just cannot emphasize this enough, is 100% required in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a brand, you want to have a business, and especially if you want to be a personal brand, it needs to be there and it needs to be at the forefront. If you don't have a social media, it's going to be very difficult for your ideal clients to find you. Mm-hmm. And when they do find you, the first place they're going to go is your social media platform. And that right there, you say in real life you have 30 seconds, in the digital world you got 3 seconds to capture someone's attention and for them to understand right away between your bio, your profile picture, your pin posts, the aesthetic. They're going to decide to follow you or unfollow you or walk away in 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so it has to be a reflection of you, and it has to be at the forefront. And so social media from me is everything. My whole business has been built from social media organically. I've barely invested in ads. I only now run ads for specific courses and email lead generation. But for the majority of my business, especially for the first year and a half, everything was organic, everything was social, and I made social media my number one priority. It still is my number one priority. If I do nothing else in my day, as long as I make sure that I show up with a piece of content or a story,
you're so good about that.
I am good. I'm like, check off.
Yeah.
It's like check in with clients, post on social, do something sales or revenue generated. Those are my 3 non-negotiables every single day. And when I put social media at the forefront and really got clear on my strategy and really understood, okay, what are my pillars here? What are my categories? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to be known for? Which, by the way, can evolve, and it should, and it will, especially if you're a personal brand. In the beginning days, I was like the social media Instagram coach.
Right.
I taught people how to like make reels and change the background of the Instagram stories to match your branding and change custom fonts and how to use trending audio. That was where I niched down specifically, and that really did me well in the beginning. The Next Level Social Mastermind was called The Next Level, and the podcast, The Next Level Social Podcast, had the word social in it because I was the social media coach.
Yeah.
Since then, as I've evolved, as my clients have evolved, I'm now in my niche is growing and scaling online businesses to multiple 6 and 7 figures through online courses and digital products, and how to use social media as a tool to promote that. So I know a lot of the times, and people listening, they're like, well, I have so many different interests and I don't want to be locked into something on social media. Trust me, it's okay. You can evolve, and
you should evolve.
Yes. But to answer your question, social media is everything, and you have to be using them, the platforms, and understanding, okay, what platforms is my ideal client on? That's important because everyone has a different ideal client. Maybe yours are on TikTok. Maybe yours are older demographic, or your business to business, and you need to be on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. So that's important. And learning, studying, whether that's getting in courses, getting in mentorship, understanding the platforms and how you can utilize them. It's just vital for your business, for your brand, and it's been so impactful and powerful for my brand, for building a community, and for monetizing.
Ugh, we're all so lucky to have you. Like, just to look at your social media, like alone, there's so much to learn just from your posts. You know, whether people decide to
Same with yours,
to work with you.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, you've really honed in on that in the sense that it's like, oh, like I said earlier, it's digestible, but you can still go and be enlightened every day by one of your posts, whether it's your stories, whether it's your Instagram posts. Like, it's clear they're your non-negotiables. And I think a lot of women need to look at Ayla for that. I do for my stories. I suck at showing up on my stories. I'm always like, I need to be like Ayla.
You're so good. You don't give yourself enough credit.
That is what, I love that. Kate, can you tell me what advice you'd give to those who are wanting to build a personal brand on social media?
Yeah. So it's a really good question, and we'll be diving into this in depth in identity. We'll be going through my content strategy and going through what pillars are and categories are, which and how to actually create a schedule and a process around creating content from your personal brand. But what I will say is just that. If you are brand new or you're needing a refresh, it's getting down to the basics of how you want to be and how you want to be shown and what message do you want to relay, and coming up with the different, I call them pillars, topics that you want to talk about. Having 3 to 5 different topics that you want to be known for. When someone lands on your page, right away, They're going to see your first 3 pinned posts. Make sure you have 3 pinned posts. We have that ability. And by those 3 posts, they should know, okay, this is what this person is about. And so getting clear on what you want to talk about, and then making sure that you're creating educational content, inspirational, relatable, entertaining, and promotional. We need to be selling content that falls within those different topics. Yeah. Find accounts, 2 or 3, that inspire you. Don't follow a whole shit ton in your industry, because that's not going to do you any justice. That's going to, the comparison syndrome, the overwhelm, all of that. I have 3 online business coaches that I follow that are like leaps and bounds to where I am, making 100, 200,000 a month, and I love that for them. They inspire me. They pave the way for me. I watch them, and I replicate and take inspiration from what they're doing, because they're where I want to be, and I make it my own.
I love that you just pick 3, because it's true. You can really get overwhelmed.
Yes.
When there's a lot, and then it's like, who do I aspire to? Like, I should
and
do
you
this,
can
this,
get
and
lost,
this. Yeah.
and then you can get confused. You're like, wait, is that them or is that me? And is this what I want to say? And it can be overwhelming. And the second that I feel that way, I'm like, okay, it's time for a social detox.
I love that.
And I'll like go through the stuff that I'm seeing, and I'll either unfollow or mute certain things. I'm really big on muting stories these days.
Yeah, me too.
I have like a big
being very careful about your energy.
Yeah, well, just like you say, what do you say with fashion? Like being conscious of fashion, or like what do you call it all the time? Like you always say like conscious shopping, right?
Oh, shopping with intention.
Shopping with intention.
Sorry,
yeah. Shopping with intention, but it's also scrolling with intention.
Yes, 100%. And letting in.
And
with
what
intention.
you're letting in and what you're putting out. So that would be my advice. Get clear on what your message is. Make sure that you're hitting all those different pillars I talked about. Find inspiration from those that light you up. Make it your own, and treat it like a business. And stay consistent AF.
I love that. Okay, so this is a word that I love with my team.
Yes, okay. What is it?
Omnipresence.
Oh, yes.
Girl, it is so important, and this is going to be something that's so big in our course. So let's talk omnipresence. Yeah. What is that to you? Mm-hmm. And the importance of it, so our ladies listening can hear that, and building your omnipresence online. So twofolds. Let's talk about it, because it is such a key word, and it's so important. Okay,
so this is a word. If you've never heard the word before, shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk. I've learned a lot about omnipresence from him. If you don't know him, you're probably living under a rock. You know him.
Yeah.
If
Pause.
Go follow him.
Gary.
Yeah. He's this tough social media marketing badass, and he is, to me, the inventor of omnipresence. Mm-hmm. And so I did one of his courses many moons ago, where he talked about this strategy. So twofold. Omnipresence is vital when creating your personal brand online, and it's this idea of being essentially everywhere. And so Gary's formula, and now what I'm replicating with the YouTube channel and the podcast, is long-form content. And I think long-form content is key right now, which is why I'm putting it at the forefront, my long-form video content and audio content. And so for me, that's my podcast and now the YouTube channel. So having these long-form pieces of content that position you as the authority and the expert in your space, and then from there, taking that macro, he calls it macro piece of content, and splicing it into micro pieces of content that can be repurposed everywhere. So you become omnipresent. So this, for example, is a YouTube video, a podcast, and a YouTube video that we are going to then create mini clips that can go on YouTube Shorts, that can go on Reels, Instagram Stories, TikTok, Facebook Stories, Facebook. I'm going to have an email. I'm going to have a blog. I'm going to put it on Pinterest. It's from this one piece of content. Yeah. And so this is the idea of showing yourself everywhere, so that repetition is key when building a personal brand, right? Not everyone uses all the platforms, and people need to see things multiple times, especially 100%. When it comes to selling something. So the idea of omnipresence when building your personal brand is you want to be known, you want to be seen, you want to be creating impact and value on as many different places as you possibly can. And it's easier to do that when you have a macro piece of content than having to create all these different pieces of content for all the different platforms. And again, we'll be diving into this in depth in identity, and I'll be walking through my strategy and my process on this.
I love this. I think this is so important for so many people. I feel like the key word a lot of people say is, I don't have time to make content.
Right.
So I think this aspect in the course is going to be really vital to all these busy women who are just feeling overwhelmed by how to show up on social media.
Keyword is omnipresence and repurposing,
Yes.
which we'll dive into in identity. But it's like we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can repurpose one piece of content and one format in multiple different ways, and then that's the power of branding, right? Think about your favorite brands right now, like. Everyone has different ones, but you get an email from them. You probably get a text from them that same day. They're showing up on stories. They're on social.
They're everywhere you turn, but you can close your eyes and visualize the brand because their omnipresence has been so impactful.
Yeah, and embedded into your brain. So that's my thoughts on
love that. I just love that word. I think it's so important, and I think you teach that really well. Okay, so I've got 2 more questions.
Kay.
One question, this one is about money.
Okay.
And I know that can be trigger word.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was raised to not talk about how much you're making, money in general. It's like, was very hush hush.
Same.
But especially as women entrepreneurs, I think it's really important to have these conversations to recognize, we put a lot of heat on ourselves and where we are, and it's such an unknown, like, what are you doing? Where are you doing? How are you monetizing? Because we don't want to talk about it. And it's a mental thing. So I love, Ayla, how open and vulnerable you are. You share what you're making. You share what a good day's been. I think it gives women hope that they can achieve that. It is possible. And then other entrepreneurs to also accept and own where they are financially. So let's talk about monetization on social media, because you can coach that. I can speak, I can attest to that. I've monetized my complete business through social media. But keyword here, money.
So it's definitely a trigger warning. If making money, talking about money makes you uncomfortable, we are warning you. However, I will then say, ask yourself why. Because there's probably some work there. There was work for me there.
Me too.
It's continuous. So it is, you're right. We were coming back to the generational stuff with, changing time for dollars, money too, faux pas to talk about, right? That's how I was raised. Whenever I asked my dad what his salary was, he'd be like, that's a rude question. It's none of your business type of thing. And so it's again, breaking down generational walls and barriers. But talking about money, first of all, work on your money mindset. Find a money mentor. I've talked about Amanda Francis many times over. I've read her book and her Audible. She's helped me a lot. I talked about her on the podcast a while. She is rad when it comes to understanding that money isn't good or bad. It just is. It's required to be able to create the life that we want and to have the freedom that we want to do the things that we want. But the second that you're like, okay, it's not bad, it's not good, it just is, and the possibility of making what you want to make is limitless, and it's possible. It's just getting strategic and calling it in and working on it. So that it's twofold. When I share and talk about money online, to this day, I still get anxious. I still think about it, question it. I still get worried that I'm going to get judged. I lose followers every time I do it.
Do you?
Every single time. Anytime I post a screenshot
so crazy
of my Stripe account or whatever, I lose followers. I just this past month, I went home to Saskatchewan where my family lives, and some of the little kids were making comments like, do you make $50,000 a month? And I was like, how do you know this? Is
Where's
that
this
Chanel? Asking me questions that I never had before. I know that there's a judgment and whispers, and things are starting to shift as my business grows and as I start to share my successes, and I still feel vulnerable and it makes me uncomfortable. But I know exactly what you said, how important it is in what I do to share what's going on, because I know that I never would have hired my mentor if I didn't know what she was making, or if I didn't see the life that she was living, if she wasn't embodying the transformation that she was promising, which was freedom and flexibility in her day, to be able to have a bath when she wants to and answer emails where she wants to travel when she wanted to host parties the way that she wanted to. If I didn't see her emanating the result that she was promising through her results in her life and her tangible screenshots, I never would have hired her. So I always come back to that my person is watching, they need my help, I can help them, but I also need to showcase that I am legit. And what I am saying actually works, and social proof, right? Testimonials, results. And so I lean into that. but it's hard. It's difficult. I know that there's going to be judgment, but then I'm just like, those aren't my people. Coming back to creating our personal brands and being authentic, this is authentically what's happening in my business and in my life. And I need to share it to attract those that I know how to help, regardless if my friends, my family, people in my life judge it or think it's weird. And but it's a process. It's still vulnerable to me. And so that's my 2 cents on it. I'm working on it. It's continuous. Yeah. But I know that the more that I work on it and the more that I showcase that, abundance flows easier to me. Totally. Truly.
And talking about, that aspect, but the other side is your time. What is it worth? I think this is a really important part of the course and your personal brand. Understanding your self-worth. I struggle when I have to raise my prices.
Yes.
I struggle when I have to invoice a client for something a little extra. Like, I just want to be like, oh, it's fine, but at the end of the day, this is your business. Yeah. This is your driving force, and you need to charge what you're worth and where you are, and understand that your prices evolve just like you're evolving, because you're becoming so much more equipped with the experiences. So is that something you're going to talk about in the course? Is that in it?
Yeah.
On your page?
Yes.
On your page?
The whole piece of like the monetization, we covered that. We'll go into that money mindset, and then actually like how to sell on with your personal brand. Yes. So that is the mindset, the money mindset that I know I have to emanate and embody if I want to call in my dream ideal clients, which are women that aren't afraid of money, which are women that have big goals and aspirations and want to make big money and have big impact and know that it's possible. I have to speak to them. I have to showcase that what I'm doing is also possible for them, and I can teach you. So I have to get out of my own way all the time, and it is work, but it's always worth it. And the more abundant that I show up, the more abundance I attract. So that's the first piece. The second piece, when it comes to monetizing your actual brand, is actually selling. And so this is the other thing I hear all the time, and I know that you felt this way, like, I don't want to sell too much. I feel icky. I feel salesy. And the only thing that I'll say about it now, because we're running over time and we have to wrap it soon, is get out of your own way. Like, you got to just get over your damn self. And I always say, like, treat yourself like a big business, because you are a big business. Does Aritzia care if they are being too salesy when they text you, email you, post on social, go on stories?
Yeah. You're running a business.
Yeah, you're running a business. Yeah. And if you're putting all this work into creating the personal brand with the vision and the content and the socials and all the things and the team, you gotta be selling and treating it like a business. And we have techniques and ways to monetize, and there's things to do, and you have to create the offers and all of that. But you gotta sell in order to make money on social.
And is this gonna be, let the ladies know, are we gonna be talking about this in the course, Ayla?
Of course. Of course we're gonna be talking about it in the course.
So important.
So important. Yeah. And it's vital, and that's the whole purpose. All of it won't work if we're not making money. So great question.
I love it. Okay, well, I hope this really gives some insight into what you're getting. If you're just getting this on the podcast, baby, get on that wait list.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here and for interviewing me. That was so interesting. And you're my first guest on YouTube and on Spotify video. I couldn't have had anyone better. I adore you. This was such a fun conversation. I hope all of you listening enjoyed it as well. And in case we haven't mentioned it enough, check out the show notes, the link in our show notes. Get on the waitlist for Identity. We officially launched today. It is live. You can sign up. Early bird pricing expires at the end of the day on Thursday. So as of Friday, the price will go up when we launch to everyone else. And we start November 13th. Taylor and I have poured our heart and soul into this, and we can't wait to teach you everything that we know when it comes to building a personal brand that stands out and sells. And we adore you. If you found any value in today's episode, take a screenshot, tag us, tag me at Ayla Sorchuk, and tag Taylor W.
MACD. Terrible personal branding name.
I'll leave her handle in the show notes, but we would love to just see you tuning in and say hello, and we hope to see some of you beauties on the inside of Identity.
Yes, can't wait, and thanks for having me, Ayla. It means
welcome.
The world.
Okay, bye. Take care. Love you.